So rewinding for a moment, sorry. Welcome to Sonja Roa from the CPC to this ePoster and platform session chair training. We will hope to be able to answer all the questions that you have when you're scheduled to chair either ePoster sessions or platform sessions at a World Physiotherapy Congress. So first of all, I would like to start off with a few images to give you an indication of what the setting will be like. So this is the ePoster setting that you can expect. Some of you may have been at a Congress in Dubai. This is a picture taken in Dubai. So the ePosters areas are set up in the exhibition hall. They are small areas with a number of chairs in front of them, and then there is a screen. This time it will not be in a horizontal format, but in a vertical format to accommodate the posters that are submitted in a portrait format. And as you can see, there's also a lectern and a screen for the presenters and or the chairs. So you will be responsible for leading these sessions. The ePoster sessions are 30 minutes long with 5 ePosters presenters. So each presenter has got 5 minutes to present their work. And at the end of the 5 presentations, there's a short 5-minute slot for any questions, either from the audience or that you have prepared as the session chair. I can see Shirley has joined us. So Shirley is also a member from the Congress Program Committee supporting today's training session. So then moving on to the next format we're talking today about is the platform presentation. And again, this is an image taken at World Physiotherapy Congress in Dubai. This is what it will look like. We will have the chair and the speakers on stage, and then there will be a lectern from where the presentations are taking place. You also can see at the top of this slide that the individual presentations will be listed. So this means all the presenters, ePoster presenters and platform presenters will be asked to upload their presentations in advance. So this means they are all in the system, and then when you as chair, before you start the session, you can see the presenters' names, you can see the presentation title, and it's really easy to just click on the next presentation. There's no need to search around where presentations are. So that's really a very sophisticated system. We might come back to this later, but it is important, whilst I see the list of speakers here, that you do not change the order of the presenters. So they would need to follow the order that is in the system. And even if a presenter is not available, there's reasons why people might not be able to come or to present their work, then you cannot move the presentations that are scheduled for a later time, just move them up. You would need to wait for these 8 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on the session format, because we know that some of the Congress participants come into the session to listen to a specific presentation. And if you suddenly change the order around and the timing, then they would miss the presentation that they had scheduled later in that session. So that's really important. And we know it's always a bit hard to kind of wait for 8 minutes, but perhaps there's an informal conversation or some questions from the preceding presentation that you could fill the time with before moving on to the next scheduled presentation. So here are a few tips for preparation, and I will ask Sonja and Shirley in a moment also to contribute, but really just to kick off the thinking of preparations. So prior to Congress, really make sure that you familiarize yourself with the author's bios and presentation topics. Particularly those of you who are involved in ePoster chairing, you will note that your slots as chairs are not just one session, but you will be scheduled for 2 or 3 sessions in one row. So this means you will need to look after 10 or maybe 15 presenters, which just to make you aware of this. And this was decided as in Dubai, we had a lot of turnover with these short half-hour sessions, and we thought it would be better to have chairs, to give chairs a slightly longer slot and more sessions to chair rather than having a turnover every half an hour. So please make sure that you have got that you know what's coming up and also have a few questions ready for the presentations. Sometimes the audience is very lively and there's many questions coming up, but sometimes it could also be that you, as the chair, should have a question, as it said in English, up your sleeve, or a question ready to ask the author, because this is also a sign of appreciation, so that people have actually listened to the content and would like to have perhaps have some follow-up questions. Then another point that item that I've put here on the preparation on site. It is important that you as the chair check in at what we call the chair check-in desk. And this is in Dubai, we had the problem that sometimes chairs didn't do that. So they just did go straight to their presentation room, which is good, but then we do not know, okay, will this chair be ready to chair this session? And then we alerted the kind of backup chairs, and suddenly we had 2 chairs available. So please make sure that you check in at the check-in desk. And this can be done 3/4 of an hour before your session, half an hour for your session, but don't leave it later than that, because this will reassure us from the staff team and also colleagues who are scheduled as backup chairs, that they do not need to cover any of the sessions. So that's really an important point for you to make sure that you are, ticked off the list, and that you are that we know that you will be there. If you are unable to chair your allocated session, this can happen for whatever reason. Please let us know as soon as possible so that we can alert any step in chairs. So that's really important, that we do not have a last minute where's the person that is covering this chair, but really to give us a bit more time. And also this makes speakers and presenters more at ease, rather than a hectic 5 minutes before the start of the session. So if you're not available, let us know. Then also make sure that you at the relevant ePoster station or the session room well in advance. Again, this will help calming the nerves of your speakers, who might or might not be experienced speakers, and knowing the chair is there who's kind of looking after them, I think is a good feeling, and not having a chair rushing in 3 minutes before the session, before the start. I think it's, really helping your presenters of the session that you're looking after. And then introduce yourself to the speakers clearly, so that they know on who's leading their session, and help them to calm their nerves. As I said, I think this is also an important part of a chair. So I would like to open the floor to Sonia and Shirley. Have you got any other points that you would like to add to the preparation element? Who would like to go first? Shirley or Sonia?
Shirley,
Whoever.
está bien.
Me go first, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Thanks. So I think it will be important for the just like what Birgit mentioned, to go to the check-in counter and let people know that we're ready, and also arrive the venue a bit earlier, so that you'll be able to meet the presenters, and you'll be able to check how many of them arrived, and you have some psychological preparation in case someone is missing or not arrived. And especially when you are arranging the speakers, it will be important that you keep all the introduction short, because most of the information they can be found on the Congress app. Really need to keep the timing because it's quite important. So 8 minutes presentation is not long, but then sometimes people are very exciting. They want to share more, and that may extend the time. So as chair, we need to keep the time. But one important thing is sometimes the presenter may not be able to look at your signal and understand that, oh, they really need to stop. So perhaps it's good that you have a good communication with the speakers before the section so that they'll be able to have a look at you or times from time to time so that they'll be able to understand the timing. Yep. Back to you, Sonia.
Thank you, Shirley. Yes, please, Sonia.
Thank you. Just I wanted to reinforce some points, and I'm totally agree with Shirley about the timing because you are the hoster. And when we are in this big event, all the things depend of the timing. It's very necessary that you be strictly on time with each presenter. That is so challenges, no? Because maybe even for you, you need to be concentrated in different things at the same time and need to be very in visual the timing. Maybe you can use your phone or your watch, I don't know, as tip, no? Put the alarm maybe 2 or 1 minute before each presentation ends, no? Because you probably are taking attention to, you will taking attention to the presentation because you want to prepare the questions. And as well, you need to be aware about the timing. And then because of that, it's very important you're managing time. And arrive in advance to the room, as Shirley says. And regarding the question, I remember that I prepared in advance some question when I had the opportunity to be to be chaired. And the problem was the question was answered during the presentation. Then I need to change my question, no? But for sure, it's very nice that if the audience don't have question, you can have some question for the presenters, no, for the speakers. Then it's important that you can take in your mind, try to take some notes. Maybe it will be simple question, no? Will be something about the context of the study that was presented. Maybe it will be always is very good to know about the challenges that the research team faced during the research, no? And not always the presenters has the opportunity to share the challenges that they face during the research, for example. That will be some ideas about questions that not needed to be very strict. And other things, as you noticed, probably I'm not a native speaker English, and probably the majority of the speakers will not during the session, no, will be. The point is we have an additional stress because we want to be fluent, no, we want to doing perfect, but probably it's not, we don't speak English perfect. Because of that, I would like to invite you that be very warm with the presenters, because this, if you create an ambience and environmental that is warm and candid, probably your speakers will be more confident. That it's one tip that I have.
Great. Thank you, Sonia. I think, Shirley, come back to you in a moment. I think you raised so many points that are so helpful, as you said, creating this warm atmosphere to help calm nerves and having an atmosphere where people can be at ease and not feel super stressed before the event. I would like to add one element when you talked about timekeeping, Sonia. So we will have a timer on the presenter, on the lectern for the presenter. So the presenter will see how the time is clicking, or the time is 1 minute before the end, it will go to orange, and you will see that you have another only 1 minute to go. But the chair will not see this. So there's different timekeeping systems. Some have a kind of traffic light system on the stage where all people on stage can see it. But we only have one on the lectern for the speaker, but not for the chair. So I think your suggestion about setting your phone or really having an alert of some sort is really helpful, because you will not have a timer system that you can see as the chair. I think that's really, just wanted to add this. Thank you, Sonia. So Shirley, you had another point that you wanted to make.
Yes, further to what Sonia and Birgit mentioned regarding a chair using the phone alarm function. So really need to be careful and let the speaker know you use it. Otherwise, they will feel surprised why suddenly an alarm is on. So perhaps if you choose to use it, let them know early in advance. And the other thing is, just like what Birgit mentioned, sometimes presenter may have other things that they really can't attend the conference and can't present. So we will need to keep the timing that the other speaker present. But even I mentioned that we arrived there early and we check how many speakers have arrived, and at least we psychologically prepared. Oh, perhaps 1 or 2 is missed. Then in the presentation, you will also introduce briefly the speaker to come in, even though in your checklist, the speaker is not there, but it will be good that you also introduce that speaker and ask whether or not he or she is there. Because sometimes they may come in a section late, or they may not know, oh, I need to go up to the stage and sit down. So perhaps it will be good timing that you double check and ensure that the speaker is there. So that's my other tips.
Yes, I think that's really a good point, Shirley, because we had some settings in the past where the speaker sat in the first row of the audience. So different settings in different conference, and sometimes also depending on the session, the room size. So yes, making sure that the person is not sitting in the first row waiting for you to call them up. That's a good idea. I just wanted to launch a very brief poll. I know that we are just a small group, but to see for those who are attending whether they are have been platform or ePoster chair at World Physiotherapy before. So if you could just let us know where you are to give us an indication of those who are online today. We're not in a rush, so that you can select the option. I think not everybody has participated so far, but those who are online, I would say the majority, it is your first time in chairing ePoster or platform presentations at World Physiotherapy Congress. So really, I would like to encourage you, if you have any questions for Sonia or Shirley, to put them in the Q&A. This is your opportunity where you have experienced chairs and presenters from past World Physiotherapy Congresses available if you are unsure about anything. So I would say, and let's move on to the next slide and look at the different perspective, namely at the audience. So this is what it could look like in an ePoster setting, and it will be similar at Congress. So there will be chairs, about between 20 and 30 chairs. And there you can see on this slide, there's quite a lot of people standing. So what we did for Congress in Tokyo, there will be some what is called cocktail tables, so these high tables where you can just stand, and they will be around the chairs that are placed in the ePoster area. What you can also see, I think, on this picture is that the setting is not an enclosed room. It will be in an open space in the exhibition hall, which means there is a bit of background noise from what's happening around that area. So don't feel worried about this. The technicians have confirmed that the setup of the microphones and the loudspeakers will be in a way that your audience can hear what you're saying. And if you are worried or people say, oh, I can't hear what the speaker is saying, then please let the volunteers know. So there's always volunteers around, or someone from the technical staff or from the World Physiotherapy staff to address any concerns. So if you have any concerns, then this is this should be raised. So this is, as I said, the ePoster setting. This is also how an audience could look like. Clearly, depending on the topic that you will be sharing, there are some topics that are more niche, that are of interest of I would say, a smaller dedicated group of physiotherapists, but there are sometimes also topics that are very popular and many physiotherapists will be attending, perhaps not as many as here. So this is a photo, I must admit, taken from the opening session, and I think it was in Dubai of Congress. But just to give you a flavor of, yes, there will be lots of people in the room. We will have more than 4,000 participants at Congress, and there's stuff happening in parallel, but this means really it can easily be several hundred people in a platform presentation session. So this is really to give you an idea on the setting. So then the session sharing, I think we covered already a few points, but then let's see what we can perhaps pick up or follow up on. I can't remember, I think it was you, Sonia, saying to make sure that you keep your introduction short. The full bios of the speakers are on the Congress app, so they can be looked up. And this is really precious time of the session that you would want to give your presenters. I did choose this picture to really demonstrate that you are serving the speakers, to help them, that they are in the spotlight, that they can deliver the best presentation and set the kind of scenario and help them to shine. That's really the role of a chair. And as we said, we talked about before already, the calming nerves and not stressing them out by arriving late, things like that will help to feel looked after, and that they can have the necessary attention in their 8 minutes or 5 minutes. Yes, so there's only a few points on this slide. Sonia or Shirley, is there anything else that you would like to add?
In my case, no, but I would like to reinforce the second one, that you are serving the speakers, because this is a very good way to see our role, no? We are the hosters, then we are serving the speakers and the audience as well, because we need to be very warm as well with the questions. And because of that, it's so important that if you're not able to arrive to the session, because sometimes happen things like, I don't know, maybe something that you can eat, it's not good for you and you feel uncomfortable anyway, that could be any reasons. Please tell the organization that you're not able to try to fix it in some way, because of the time we need to replace probably the role. Other point maybe is that you can receive help by volunteers in the room. They are very, very good disposition, with good able, and not only during the session. You can ask help before if you need uh, looking for the room, because it's a very big building. Probably you need to be aware that your time to write to arrive very early, 15 minutes at least is my suggestion, no? But to stay calm during the session. That's my thoughts.
Thank you, Sonia. I think this was a very important point that you mentioned. The distance in the building shouldn't be underestimated. And whilst I think on the second or third Congress day, we will all know our way around and we'll know, okay, Hall D is over there and session A is over there. But on the first day, it is, it might take a while to find your way and to get there. I think that's a very important point. Thank you, Sonia, for sharing. Shirley, any other points from you?
I would like to highlight point 3, help the speakers feel comfortable and calm the nerves. So actually, quite a number of speakers, their first language may not be English. So sometimes if the questions from the floor is speaking too fast, or the question is too long, the phrases, or even is too complicated, and then sometimes the speaker may not be able to catch the content right at the spot. So as a chair, you may also help to invite the audience to speak again, or you can help them by rephrasing their questions in the way that the speaker will be able to understand. So I think that will be something that we can make the speaker feel comfortable and calm their nerves. So I think that's something that we may consider. And also, in our SRO, at the end of the work, we may also need to remind them to use to rate the section, and also during the Q&A section, if the questions are too overwhelming, then we will also need to invite the audience that they can talk to the speaker after the presentation, so that we'll be able to keep up the time.
Thank you, Shirley. I think the tip about rephrasing the question, I think, is great, because this will also give the presenter a few more moments to think about how they would like to respond. And as you said, sometimes the queries can be very long, and then you think, okay, where's the question? So indeed, I think supporting your presenter in that way is much appreciated. And I think we'll come on to the app and some technical things in a moment. I think there's a question. Let me just quickly open it. So there's a question. I cannot see many speaker information yet on the web app. So also I cannot find the summaries of the ePoster presentations. So now it is not possible to prepare. When is this information available? Yes, indeed, this is not yet available. So we will send this 2 weeks, approximately 2 weeks, which is soon, before Congress, where we send what we call the chairs packs, so that you will receive the individual information about the presentations that you will be looking after. And then also, this is when the abstracts will be available online. We have an embargo, and these will also parallel, they will go online, so they will be visible to all Congress participants in advance of Congress. So we will send you the chairs packs. They are not yet available, indeed, yes. Sonia, you had your hand up?
Yes, we said that probably, or many cases, the speakers are not native speaker English, but what about the chairs? Because it's a point as well, no? My advice is that you bring your notes, written notes, no? In a piece of paper, not in your phone, no? 2 tips: bring your notes about your speech, as well as the same speakers probably, because if you feel nervous, it's totally allowed that you can read, no, in English, and you can practice before your pronunciation, probably because you will need nervous as well, no? Then to prevent that, maybe you feel that is feel blocked because of the audience, because the room is so big, because it's very dark. You probably don't see the people in front of you in the case of platforms, or there is a lot of movement around you in the case of ePoster. The idea is that you can feel confident, and because of that, I suggest your notes are written, no, very close to you, and not in your cell phone, because with the nerve you need to put the alarm for for set the time, and maybe it will be sometimes blocked. Then, because at least in my case, I prefer to be more analog and use a piece of paper to my notes. Other point is that you speak slow, no? When I feel nervous speaking in English, I have the tendency to speak more faster, but the problem is not good because it's not clear to me express my ideas, and that's one of my new tips. Um, that's the tip too.
Great, thank you. I think, yes, when you said also why not going analog instead of, having everything on the phone and having several things to look after, because this also reminds me of another feature on the app that clearly we have all the Congress participants in the room, and people will be encouraged to ask their questions, but not everybody is comfortable to ask a question in front of an audience of 300 people. Also, again, coming to your point, Sonia, about non-native English speakers, I remember times when it's easier really to put down your question in writing, then you can select the words rather than speaking up. So the app will allow the audience to ask questions in the app. So this means in your session, in addition to looking at what is the audience thinking, are there any hands up who would want to speak? It would be helpful also to have a look on your phone on the session, because there might be also a few questions coming in. So another element that needs to happen on your phone, Sonia, and an argument to have your notes separate in an analog format. Yes, Shirley, please go ahead.
Thanks. Actually, I echo with what Sonia mentioned. As chair, actually, we are nervous as well. So, having it printed in papers does help a lot, and especially with the abstract and highlighting the speaker's name and also all the details and prepare the question to ask at the beginning. So, in case the audience asks a question which they speak too fast, and you can also use the paper to write down the keywords, so they will be able to help you to rephrase the questions. That is quite helpful. So the other thing is perhaps before the section, if you do have questions regarding how to pronounce the person's name, if good timing that you check with the speaker, am I pronounce your name correctly? So I think all the speakers are very nice. They will be able to share with you.
Yes, pronouncing names in our global environment, yes, is a good idea. Again, this just shows your speakers that you care and that you really would like to introduce them with the right pronunciation of their name. I think a very important point. I didn't put it down here somewhere, but again, a point that would be much appreciated. So I think let's move on to the next slide, where there's a few more practicalities. We've covered some of them already, but let's see whether there's anything missing. So absolutely, we talked about timekeeping, making sure the session starts on time, keeping the order of the presenters. This was already also mentioned. Keeping an eye on the individual presenter time through your secret timekeeping that that you have in place. Agree a signal for them to come to a close. And then also sometimes, even if there's subtle or less subtle signals, some speakers do not come to an end, then you might even need to step in and say, oh, I'm really sorry, but I need to cut short this presentation because we have another 3 to go through. To be able, not to have further presenters later on in the session having to reduce their presentation time. Encouraging the audience to ask questions, having a question ready for each of the presenters. We also already talked about this, thanking the speakers for their contributions, and then also pass on any relevant information. So there might be something that we as staff or volunteers ask you to announce for this room, for example. I don't know, this room will need to be changed. The setting will need to be changed after this session. So please make sure that you leave the room swiftly so that the technical staff can enter. So any announcements, if you could make them if needed. And then an important point, to remind the audience to rate the session on the app. So there will be a simple rating function from 1 to 5 stars. In the past, when we looked and evaluated the session from Congress in the past, there was clearly an indication whether the chair did encourage the audience to rate the session or not. So those sessions where there were several ratings, we knew, okay, this is where the chair reminded the audience to open the app and rate the session. So this would be really important for us as staff, but then also for the next Congress Program Committee to see, really to understand how useful, how helpful you found the session, so that we can inform future planning. And then closing the session on time. So these are the practicalities that I've put down here. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Sonia or Shirley? Perhaps whilst either the two of you or our participants are thinking about further questions, which I would really encourage you to do so, is the audience. And so Sonia and Shirley are from different regions of World Physiotherapy. So there are different, I would say, cultural aspects to asking questions. Whilst in some countries it's perfectly fine to, I just call it, challenge a speaker and have a critical question. In other cultures it is less so, and it would feel offensive to ask the presenter a critical question. So this is just something to be aware in a Japanese context, where there's usually not a lot of questions being asked in a presentation, because this would be seen, oh, we don't want to ask a question the presenter cannot answer and bring them in a kind of predicament, in a difficult situation. But again, also what we said before, as long as there is a kind of warm, welcoming environment, it is about the topic that should be explored, and really encouraging the audience to contribute. But there might be sessions where there's very few questions, just something to keep in mind. I don't know, Shirley or Sonia, anything you would like to add to this thought?
Yeah, thank you, Birgit, to bring this point about the criticism. The point is that something happens, yeah? And when people feel threatened because of the criticisms, naturally we put in alert and stress, and probably if the question is unkind, it increase the nervous, and the person is a cycle vicious, no, is not able to answer, blah blah blah. The point is that you are the host and you have the control. You can manage for sure the environmental, to keep the environmental very warm and kind. That's very important, no? Maybe you need to rephrase the question, or maybe you can ask that the audience that is, or the person that is doing the question, rephrase the question will be, but you are the host. Then because of that, you can put your stamped in calmly in the session. That's one of my thoughts about the point that you are saying, Birgit. At the end of the session, always I would like to thank the presenters of their contribution. They have made a great effort during the research. And second, they are presenting in Japan, not so far to the home. No, because of that, we need to be very to have gratitude with all the things that are happening.
Great. Thank you, Sonia. I think that's really great points again to I don't know whether the correct term in English is diffuse. So in case there's a situation where you can feel the presenter is stressed about a question, there's ways to say, okay, you know, you might be able to talk about this question after the session in a personal conversation or whatever. There's ways really to, again, you are responsible for making the session lively, but then also help the presenters to get the best out of them. Shirley, have you got any other points? I can see there's another question in the Q&A, but I wanted to go to you first.
Thank you. I totally agree with what Sonia mentioned. Sometimes we will meet people that are from different cultures, and the way that they present or ask the questions may seems like a kind of critical manner, but perhaps this is the way that they say something. So I think it's important that as a chair, we need to keep it as a kind of warm and encouraging environment, because all our volunteers, they just come to share and contribute to the conference. Everyone's presence will make the conference a success. So I think it's important that we can help those the speaker, just like what Sonia mentioned, rephrasing the questions, or even we can anything unresolved, we can put it at the end of the section and let them have some more discussions. So I think that will be very very helpful. And yeah, I do agree with what Sonia mentioned. Is thanks to speakers for their contribution, because without their participation, we won't have the conference. So I think that point is important.
Great, thank you, Shirley. So I can see there's another question in the Q&A from Theo. Is there a printing service available at the Congress Chair check-in desk or elsewhere to print needed information from the Congress web app? So now you caught me, Theo. I can't answer this question. I'm sure there's a business center somewhere to print if needed. But then again, thinking about the volume of chairs we have and presenters, and if everybody would want to print out their material. So I would strongly recommend, if you have an opportunity, to print the material in advance. I'm also aware that some colleagues might be traveling before Congress, and I've seen some messages that colleagues in some countries are already starting their journey, and this might not be possible because you are en route. So in case, I'm sure we can find a solution on that one. But I can make a note of that, Theo, and get back to you. So I'm just moving on to the next slide, which just leaves the question. So if there's anything from the participants that we haven't captured, please let us know so that we can answer it here in person. If you're not sure yet because you haven't started your preparations, clearly because you haven't received the abstracts as yet, you can always send an email to congress@world.physio. This is a kind of generic email that we then distribute amongst colleagues, and whoever is the relevant person to best answer your question will do so. So I would say if there's no further questions, I would leave it open to Sonia and Shirley for last words before we close the webinar.
Now, well, see you in Tokyo. Thank you to be shared as well, because we know that it's best. You are doing your best. Feel confident. And the most important thing is that enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Great, thank you, Sonia. Shirley?
So I hope you all enjoy the conference and see you in Tokyo.
Great, thank you. So thanks to all of you who joined today's session. We will upload the recording if you'd want to share it with any colleagues, so please do so. Thank you also to Sonia and Shirley for taking the time for your input for today's session. Thank you and take care and see you in Tokyo. Bye-bye.